Are you ready to unleash your creative razzle-dazzle? Then join the Canary Cry new stock producers and make some refrigerator art for the show. Show your support with your talent at canarycry.party. Your mom will thank you.
Yo, you curious about blockchain technology? Your boys Basil and Gons at CCNT have gone full crypto bro. Tune in to your favorite Sigma males and discover the world of blah blah blockchain. Don't miss out, fam. Join the ride and level up your crypto game.
Investing in cryptocurrency involves significant risk and can result in substantial or complete loss of funds. The information provided by CCNT, Basil and Gons is for educational purposes only and should not be considered financial advice. Always conduct your own research and consult with a professional financial advisor before making any investment decisions.
Razzle Dazzle, it's Body by Basil, the new exciting fitness craze that will get you Canary Cry swole in no time at all. Just listen to these quotes from our participants. My muscles are huge. It's all or Nephilim. You'll be an apocalypse warlord in no time. Don't wait. Order today and save 33% for just 4 easy payments of only $33.33. You too can have the body of a googly eye, VR headset wearing Nephilim warlord.
A new, raw deconstruction of news and analysis. Introducing Canary Cry New Stalk, the new intense fragrance made specifically for thinking outside the cage. From your favorite podcasters, Basil and Gons.
Gons, can you hear me? I'm hearing reports about a prototype flippy arm.
Don't tell me. Flippy is coming for our jobs.
That's right. You know what this means.
Yeah, it's wake-up time. Think outside the cage.
Yo, 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 what's going on, everybody? This is your buddy Basil, your best buddy Basil. Here at the Canary Cry News Talk live stream, pre-stream. We're going to get the show started in just a little over 30 minutes. Thanks, everybody, for being here. Lots of the YouTubers. There's a Rumble. Susie Q14 going on the Rumble. What's up? Adam42, One Lousy Petunia, Night of the Hungry Panda, Amy, Liar Bliss, Cullen, Digital Generation, Echo 26, Killer, Jude, JD, everybody's here. All right, we're doing it. Psalm 40, what's going on? All right, folks, thanks for being here. I need to let you know something. This is a conundrum because most of you are here right now probably because you're on the text message alert system. But in case there's somebody here who is here not because they received a text message from us, perhaps you stumbled upon us as you crept through the dark alleyways of the internet, whatever the case may be, you should get on the text message alert system. You're not going to get notifications forever. Sometimes you're going to get unsubscribed from us randomly for no reason at all. Whatever the case may be, you should be receiving text messages from me. Send them out before every show, just a couple times a week. Fun part is you can slap back. You can send us messages back. We can't carry on a conversation because it's very expensive for us, but it's a fun way to pass the time here at the beginning of the show. So to get on that list, text the word Canary to 877-740-3226. Again, that's the word Canary to 877-740-3226, and you'll get on the list. It's our attempt to apocalypse-proof what's going on here. So get on the list. It's very fun. Like I said, people can send messages back. For instance, 573 says, "It's Wednesday, my dudes. I'm thankful for CCNT. Oh yeah, it's Thanksgiving, folks. Somebody sent a Kermit the Frog gif of It Is Wednesday, my dudes. That's very fun. 250 says, yay, praying all goes smoothly. Thank you, Kat. Let's see here. We got 440 saying, happy Thanksgiving, Canary Cry. God bless you. Another 269. Lindsay says, happy Thanksgiving. I'm thankful for the two of you and all Canarians. Have a blessed show. Is it really Thanksgiving already, folks? What's going on here? Sam says, yay, good timing. May your show be fluid and powerful. May you have good chemistry together, and may the Father bless your choices and voices. Well, that's very nice. Thank you, Sam. And let's see here. 406 says, thanks, boys. Happy Turkey Day to you and yours. And unto you, dear Canarians. That's right. Text the word Canary to 877-740-3226 to get on the list. Get a fun little text from me a couple times a week. And text me back. I'll see what you guys have to say. 253 says, heart listening live. You guys rock. Well, thank you very much. Thank you very much for that. Let's see here. One last one. This comes from 843, Isaiah 64:6. We are all infected and impure with sin. When we display our righteous deeds, they are nothing but filthy rags like autumn leaves. We wither and fall, and our sins sweep us away like the wind. All right, folks, get on the list. Let's start the show.
The world is getting crazier. People are acting more and more insane. The end of the world is tomorrow. Tomorrow. There's only one thing to do when the world is falling apart. Listen to Basil and Gonz as they discuss this week's news and events through the lens of Bible prophecy. You are listening to Canary Cry News Talk.
You are listening to Canary Cry News Talk. Today is November 27th, 2024. We are live to tape on episode 795. And today, Neo-Scientocracy. Signing on from Off the Grid, Razzle Dazzle. I'm your best buddy Basil, and you are not crazy.
And my name is Gonz, director of the Age of Deceit Films, your favorite Asian provocateur for Christ, live to tape from the land of Newscomb to bring you the best news, which is the gospel message of Jesus Christ, while reporting the egregious with a well-rounded, biblically grounded take on world events. And today's emergent phenomenon, Basil, why couldn't the hacker access the dark web?
Why, Gonz?
Because they didn't have the Tor key. You are shocked. You are speechless.
No. I'm figuring it out. Because they didn't have the Tor key. Tor key. I know Tor, infamous dark web browser. Key, I'm assuming there's some sort of key there. But it's the dark web. I really want to get on board with you on this one. I'm having a hard time. I'll take the blame. Maybe it's too much horse electrolytes that is not clicking in my head.
I think the horse electrolytes are blocking some of the synapses in your brain.
It's possible.
Or it's just focused in elsewhere. Gobble, gobble. Turkey. Turkey.
Okay, what does that have to do with the dark web?
Nothing. It's Thanksgiving. We're talking about turkeys.
Okay. Look, I don't want to belabor this point, but I thought you said, why didn't the hacker access the dark web?
Yeah.
Right? Because he didn't have the Torquay.
Yeah.
Maybe something like, why couldn't the hacker...
When you have children, Basil, it will make sense to you.
Why couldn't the hacker spend Thanksgiving
Too much logic.
on the dark
Too much logic.
web?
Too much horse electrolytes.
That's what was missing for me. That's okay. Here you go. KHP... Night of the Hungry Panda says, it's a Thanksgiving joke, Baz. I'm glad everybody else got it. I'm really not trying to give you a hard time. It's just my brain is filled with
there you go.
horse
Psalm 40 cleaned it up. Psalm 40 cleaned it up. What do hackers eat for Thanksgiving? That would have been a better setup for you.
See, there you go. That's the one. Thank you, Psalm 40. Oh, man. Dark humor. Get it? Because it's the dark web. Huh? I'm on board now. All right, everybody. Thanks for being here. And we apologize for everything in the show thus far. It is the day before Thanksgiving. This is very exciting, important time. Well, let's be clear. This is the United States Thanksgiving tomorrow. Thank you to, I think, Abraham Lincoln, who officially made that a holiday. Pilgrims are certainly part of the
Native
lore.
Americans, Native Indians.
Americans. The lore goes on. It's wonderful. So are we gonna do like what are you grateful for, thankful for? Is that like a thing that I feel like
If you want to.
It's legally required for podcasts and television shows to start out with what they're thankful for.
Sure.
On their Thanksgiving episode. So
I
hit me with
guess.
something
It's
heartfelt and good.
it's pretty generic for me. It's God, family, and then this community of Canarians. Every breath. I'm grateful for a lot of things, Basil.
That's very
It's a good
good. Me
reminder.
too. I'm very thankful. Especially the Canary Cry supply drop producers. Woo! Getting in the list, getting the calendar, coming before Christmas. If you're not on the Canary Cry supply drop list, you are missing out. The Canary Cry calendar is a very important artifact for all Canarians, where you can wake up, check the calendar every day like a bunch of other Canarians around the world, and you can both know that it's the day that the CIA was founded, or it's the day that Operation Northwoods was declassified, or it's
Well,
the
tomorrow
day...
you can bring up how in 1975 Operation Condor was
There you go.
spun up. There you go.
Who else do you know is going to wake up and go, oh, today Thanksgiving. Wow, Thanksgiving. Oh, it's also the day Operation Condor spun up. And you might be thinking, what in the world is Operation Condor? Well, that's an opportunity for you to look into it. And then you'll have something very fun to talk to your family about at Thanksgiving dinner. What's better than a meal with family talking about what I'm assuming is some sort of horrific abuse of centralized power of the United States government against its own citizens? That would be my guess. I'm not fully familiar with
little
Operation
state
Condor.
terror.
Little state terror.
South America, some.
Especially on an election year like this
Yeah.
year, it's much more important to discuss the sort of deep state and machinations, the sort of dark principalities that rule over what we're calling society. That's something that can bring everybody together in such a divided time.
Yeah, it's one of those. At least it's one of those that has a little bit of a conclusion. Operation Condor. Just look into it. There have been some repercussions, which might be an interesting discussion to have anyway. The time we are in history with all the turning around and taking care of the folks who made mistakes in the last era.
With a little bit of foresight, Gons, actually, this would have been a great thing for us to cover on the show today, just to equip people with a little bit of the knowledge. But just to save you some time, I got the what is this? The Wikipedia. Operation Condor was a campaign of political repression by the right-wing dictatorships of the Southern Cone of South Africa, involving intelligence operations.
South America.
Oh, yeah, South America. Involving intelligence operations, coups, and assassinations of left-wing sympathizers in South America. This is a great topic of conversation for all the Kamala voters in your in your life, in your family. Why wouldn't you talk about
the methods
operations?
Yeah, the methods that were used here. Tactics included cross-border abductions, enforced disappearances, torture, extrajudicial killings.
Yeah.
The operation also facilitated the exchange of intelligence among member countries to track and eliminate dissidents. Just the usual stuff.
So great to see you, Mima and Peepa. I love seeing you. I'm so excited to spend this very important
Uncle's
family
got some
time.
knowledge. Uncle brought some brain juice for everybody.
Due to its clandestine nature, the precise number of deaths directly attributable to Operation Condor is highly disputed.
Of course.
Some estimates are that at least 60,000 deaths can be attributed to Condor. So please pass the potatoes. Please pass the marshmallow, orange potatoes, whatever they're called.
Yeah, and there have been, again, convictions of former military officers involved in it. So
Of course.
Yeah,
It's a
there's some closure.
holiday
There's
classic.
closure. It's not just the world is bad and, it's just going to keep getting worse, which in a lot of ways it will. But, with this one, you can at least say, hey, there was justice, or at least some, not full justice, obviously. That belongs to God. But, it's some level of justice here on earth. So that's maybe some good news.
Yeah, if you think that, your American relatives won't care about some operation in South America, you can scroll down to the antecedents section where it says Operation Condor, which took place in the context of the Cold War, had the tacit approval and material support of the United States. I love how, now how relevant is this? Tacit approval, I mean, that's like, okay, lukewarm, sort of passive, uncaring sort of approval, whatever. But also material support. If you're giving material support, it's a little
moral
bit more.
and material support, both.
Yeah, there's the process and then there's the outcome kind of being displayed there. In 1968, U.S. General Robert W. Porter Jr. stated, and this is good when you're talking with family, is to have these quotes ready because chances are most of your family, unless the family that Canary's together, stays together, good chance that they're not going to believe you. But if you come at them with a quote like from Robert W. Porter Jr., in order to facilitate the coordinated employment of internal security forces within and among Latin American countries, we are endeavoring to foster inter-service and regional cooperation by assisting in the organization of integrated command and control centers, the establishment of common operating procedures, and the conduct of joint combined training exercises. So that's just fun, folks. Fun for the whole family. We really pray that everybody has a wonderful time at Thanksgiving this year. Operation Condor.
Yeah.
Well, with that, to set the stage for the show, we might as well set a little disclaimer, and feel free to set this disclaimer at your dining room table at Thanksgiving.
Yeah, just blast this moment. Just find mark it down.
It's time for a disclaimer.
Now listen up, YouTube. That's right. And just for all the content moderators and censorship managers out there, be they robots or humans, everything you hear on this show comes directly from the mainstream corporate news media. We do not claim to be experts on healthcare, geopolitics, military strategy, corporate law, or the moral and ethical implications of any of these topics, nor do we implicitly or explicitly support or subscribe to any sources or narratives containing misinformation, disinformation, or malinformation, as defined by the Department of Homeland Security. We're good boys. All right, YouTube, we're good boys.
That's right. We're good boys. Shout out to Germ, who sent a message, says, you had the Canarian producers pray for me a while back about finding a place to live, and I moved into a new apartment in May of this year. Amen. Little praise report for the producers out there. Very important part of this community.
Yep,
and
hallelujah.
Congrats, Germ, and thank you for letting us know.
Yeah, appreciate it.
All right, Gons, let me give you a little bit of a rundown for today's.
Oh, look, here's Basil.
Let me bring you up to speed.
Watch it. We're starting out with a big, huge, important update for longtime Canarians. This is, in fact, a very close story to our hearts. This coming from The Sun. Dance with the devil. Putin orders giant 16,000 mile per hour doomsday nuke Satan II to be made ready for war, and latest deranged nuclear saber rattle, folks. We're talking about Satan II again, very important to our show and our self-image, because we once called this Putin's very cool missile, and then we got banned from YouTube for saying that. So I repent from calling it that, and please, YouTubers, we are against the Satan II. We don't like it. Putin's a very bad man, but we're going to be getting a big update there. Quick move into Trump world. We've got a new member of Trump's cabinet for the NIH. Very interesting fellow. We'll be digging in there. Lots of things to like and dislike about that. Mark Andreessen showed up on JRE. We'll bring some clips for you there. Little stop by Denver. We have a pretty solid contingent of Canarians over there in Denver. I have some friends over there, and goodness gracious, the Denver mayor is ready to go to war with the federal government. Well, he was, and then he wasn't. Just an entertaining way to start your Thanksgiving holiday. Gons will be walking us through a little bit of Gates of the Gods antimatter. We finally have an economy of antimatter. We'll be walking through what this means for the U.S. economy and for your stop by the grocery store. A little bit of CERN update on there as well. Then we're back to Antarctica. Geoengineering plan to build the curtain around Antarctica could spark trouble. But first, Gons, let's thank our executive producer for today.
Executive producers.
That's right. You know it. You love it. We're on the Value for Value model. It's the miracle of God that keeps this show alive. We don't take any money from commies, corporations, or cartels. We're entirely funded by you, dear listener. It's not just funded. We are produced with your time, your talent, or your treasure. People standing up and saying, I'm taking responsibility for my media future, for what exists in the world. No longer are we allowing corporations to decide what lives and what dies. So if you're out there, you get any value from what we do here, consider what time you have, what talents you have, or what treasure you have to spare to not just donate, but to become a part of the team keeping this show alive. Our executive producers are people who come in for $100 or more for any individual episode, and we thank them here at the top, and you should too. Starting with the one and the only executive producer, Sir Jamie, not the Lannister.
Where'd you find this?
Thank you, Sir Jamie. Did Sir Jamie come in Monday too? Came in twice?
He came in twice here, and he sends Lily. He came in for $123 Very fun. Thank you.
Thank you.
And a note that says, not my tithe, just needed to make a public apology to the hardest working Canarian, Sir Ike, for not following through with some designs I was supposed to do. But I will be texting you, Sir Ike, the t-shirt idea that I finally got a chance to work on. Look at that. Look, what in the spirit of family and holiday togetherness, Sir Jamie putting out a public apology and praise for Sir Ike, and Sir Jamie and I have that in common, where we are constantly having to apologize to Sir
I'm pretty
Ike.
sure I had to. I failed the delivery to Sir Ike. Keeps us all accountable. The back channels are. It's just Sir Ike policing us, making sure we get things done. That's
to be clear. Sir Ike is something akin to what a saint might be, in his patience and his gentle-heartedness. He doesn't go around admonishing people for letting him down constantly, like both of us. But indeed, his patience knows almost no bounds. And for that, we're very grateful. We're very thankful for you, Sir Ike, today.
Yeah, I appreciate you, Sir Ike.
I'm sure I owe Sir Ike something, and I need to go check my email. So also very thankful to you, executive producer, Sir Jamie, not the Lannister.
Yes, thank you, Sir Jamie.
And good news again. What a wonderful couple of episodes where we started with 0 executive producers, and then a couple come in right before the show. Because, of course, we want to thank executive producer, Sir Alex Protocol, Baron of the Berean Protocol.
Where'd you find this?
You know what?
Hold on. Let me finish. Let me finish.
And you know what? This is Sir Alex Protocol's second executive producership in a row here. So let's give him an executive producer streak.
Oh, executive producer streak.
Yeah.
God, to dust it off, it actually belongs to Sir Alex Protocol.
Yeah, and you know what? So let me see here, just so I can get so he's on a 2-episode executive producer streak. He's on, did I lose it? I may have lost it. 348 episode streak altogether. Also came in right before the show. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Appreciate you, Sir
coming
Alex
in for
Protocol
his
V2.
$100.33 as
Illuminatus!
You know what?
What? Did you freeze?
We also missed playing the executive streak jingle for Sir. Ooh, I froze for a second.
You did, yeah.
Back?
Oh, I heard you though. This is for Sir Jamie. There you go.
Executive streak. Thank you, Sir Jamie. And is that it? I think that's it. That is it. Thank you so much to both of our executive producers for making this Thanksgiving special happen. And folks, big shout out to all the supply droppers, all the T-shirt council members, all the monthly producers who help us lay down a foundation to keep this show going. You can become an executive producer, a regular producer, a supply drop producer, all these things. Go to canarycry.support to learn more.
Canary
cry, back support.
There we go. All right, Gons, it's time. It's time to talk about the apocalypse.
World War III. We can fight the Third World War down there. Russia.
State-sponsored propaganda machinery.
Dance with the devil! Putin orders giant 16,000 mile per hour doomsday nuke Satan II to be made ready for war in latest deranged nuclear saber rattle.
Deranged. Of
it's
course.
Crazy. Of course, this is coming from The Sun, if you couldn't tell from the headline. And we got to be careful, Gons, because last time we talked about Satan 2, we got booted from YouTube for it. We are saying now unequivocally, this is bad. This is a bad missile, and Putin is a bad man. And any missile called Satan or Satan 2 or even Satan 3 is a bad missile in my book. Putin is said to have ordered the deadly 16,000 mile per hour Satan II to be battle ready, sparking fears of a major escalation in the war. The threatening move sees the killer nuclear capable RS-28 Sarmat, dubbed the world's deadliest weapon, being on, quote, combat duty. It was announced by Russian state news agency TASS, despite testing failures and delays. Head of Russia's strategic missile forces, Colonel General Sergei Karakayev, said that work continues to place the missile on combat duty. As TASS reported, he said, as of today, fifth-generation Yars and avant-garde missile systems have been introduced into the strategic missile forces. Work continues to on placing the newest silo-based Sarmat missile system with liquid-fueled super-heavy missile on combat duty. The threat comes after Moscow, blah, blah, blah. We know. This is just it's a little update in the timeline of the apocalypse we've been following here for the past couple episodes. And woo! They're cranking it up, man. The propaganda is, I was almost in a state of freaking out legitimately about the nuclear threat until I saw this article, and it's lovely. I mean, The Sun and rags like it play such an important role in our media ecosystem because they really are effective at letting you know just how much of the news is there, specifically to make you afraid, to not just make you afraid, to build a scaffolding of fear in your consciousness with which they can use to construct other monoliths of control. That's a little bit of a metaphor if anybody needed one. And when you're able to lock in, see the threat behind the threat, you realize, okay, as an act of rebellion and revolution, I can safely let go of this fear and just know that they wouldn't be working so hard to affect my inner workings, the social engineering, the psycho programming, that sort of thing, if there was really something to worry about. So thank you very much, The Sun.
Yeah, does this make Putin a Satanist?
He's a Satanist.
Well, it's interesting because it also plays into the sort of long-standing analysis, which is not necessarily the most hidden thing in the world, that Putin is framing this, not only Putin, but the Eastern Orthodox Church, among other groups, are framing this entire conflict as a holy war. So much so that there were reports of like the sinking of a Russian battleship that had holy Christian relics on board, and how that sort of officially transitioned this into a literal holy war. And for those who might consider this a possible, Armageddon-style cataclysm or something like that, it fits right into that sort of narrative and thus that sort of worldview building.
There's an interesting parallel with the merchants of the earth, found there in Revelation, and how they use sorcery to control souls, control the masses. And then you think about the literal idea of these, I guess, magicians, merchant magicians
Yep.
using literal weapons, perhaps, but also the idea of the occultists being able to harness the energies of, demonic energy or whatever it is and use it against something or against the population. It's just interesting how they name the missile Satan, Satan 1,
Yeah,
Satan 2.
Satan
and
2.
then-
They're the
yeah,
good guys, and they have a missile called Satan 2.
That's what I'm saying. Like we're going to use it
they
for
have
good.
a good guy.
They think, yeah. So I don't know. There's just layers to this narrative war crafting, and when you see it through that lens, it's hard to not identify certain parts of every conflict, every narrative, every name of a missile or a project or something. There's always some kind of hidden spiritual agenda behind everything. So
Yeah, and when you consider mythology, if you consider the definition to be something closer to subconscious cognitive symbol sets that can be deployed to manipulate, basically create an illusion or manipulate worldview. I mean, it's a very effective occult practice, this sort of propaganda style, which, of course, we had somebody asking earlier in the chat about my big, long, years-long rant about the occult secrets of advertising, marketing, of course, wrapped up in propaganda too. I will spare everybody that ramble today, but there was somebody asking about some specific episode numbers for that, and maybe, I'm not sure, maybe this is something Clank can help us out with, but I think, I don't know, I'm not going to, okay.
Write a
all
book.
Right, what do you got?
Write a
Where are we
book.
going?
Write a book.
I know.
Yeah, one of these days. It'll be an audiobook. But yeah, it'll be you ranting and raving. Okay, what are we doing? Oh, we're going right into the Trump here.
We will launch a new age. I am innocent. Innocent. They're coming after me. They love killing. Science is truth.
Haha. Good old Fauci there. This is coming from NPR.org. Trump turns to critic of COVID mandates to run NIH. So he has his man. Now, Basil,
so interesting. Such an interesting way for the headline to be, because with a lot of his picks, they're very complicated characters.
Well, it makes them think.
It
makes the other side sort of have to think about how they're reporting everything. It's an interesting move.
Not every one of these picks fits sort of perfectly in with the MAGA thing.
No, it does not.
I mean, I think some people have pointed out that there are a particular set of requirements that everybody seems to have been aligning with regarding APAC and things like that. Matt Gaetz being a good example of, I think, maybe one of the only people Trump has picked that is not a sort of represented by the APAC ethos. And look what happened to that guy. But this guy's very interesting. Tell me about him.
Yeah, so let's, it says on the caption of the image here, Dr. J. Bhattacharya, is that how you say it? Bhattacharya? Speaks during a roundtable discussion with members of House Freedom Caucus on the COVID-19 pandemic at Heritage Foundation in late 2022. President-elect Donald Trump is tapping Dr. J. Bhattacharya, a Stanford health researcher, had to back off the mic there because I was going to yell Stanford, to be the next director of the National Institutes of Health. Quote, together, Jay and RFK Jr. will restore the NIH to the gold standard of medical research. Here's my question. Were they really the gold standard of medical research at any point in history? Have they always sort of been a sleeping scientific dictatorship?
To you.
Yeah. As they examine the underlying causes of and solutions to America's biggest health challenges, including our crisis of chronic illness and disease. Together, they will work hard to make America healthy again, Trump wrote in a statement making the announcement. Bhattacharya, a physician and health economist whose nomination requires Senate confirmation, would take charge of an agency that employs more than 18,000 workers and funds nearly $48 billion in scientific research through nearly 50,000 grants to more than 300,000 researchers at more than 2,500 universities, medical schools, and other institutions. So, just to get an idea, and we knew this about what Fauci was controlling, with the NIH over there. And also, what was the other guy's name? I forget his name. The guy who made folk songs and, the DNA guy. Do you recall, Basil? Somebody in the chat will remember.
I was reading something else. My brain is wiped there.
Yeah. I'm on this
Francis
stuff too.
Collins.
Francis Collins. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Bhattacharya confirmed Bhattacharya could dramatically affect the future of medical science. The NIH is the world's largest public funder of biomedical research, but the NIH could be among the top targets for restructuring as the next administration tries to overhaul the federal government.
Oh,
so,
please.
Yeah. So it's a couple things here. First of all, to the news itself, that yes, Bhattacharya, Stanford graduate. My rant about Stanford. They seem to be a funnel, much like on the East Coast there was the Ivy League and stuff, a funnel of elite folks who are getting into politics and high positions of political influence around the world.
In the same way that the NIH is a funnel of taxpayer dollars into research that is designed strictly for the purposes both of the deep state and the corporate wing of the deep state for profitable purposes, making money off of taxpayer-funded research.
Yeah, it's all kind of in the same realm of folk, it's in that still an upper class. You got to be kind of in there, and that's Stanford University is one of those places that really harbored that type of elitism. While the NIH has historically enjoyed bipartisan support, Trump proposed cutting the agency's budget during his first term. We get into all that stuff. One factor was an open letter called the Great Barrington Declaration, which was released in October 2020 and challenged policies such as lockdowns, masks, and mandates. Bhattacharya was one of the 3 authors of the document. The declaration called for speeding herd immunity by allowing people at low risk to get infected while protecting those most valuable, like the elderly. So, I've ranted on and on about hero making in this new era where you create the absurdity, or you pull politics to a radical side, or you just go far off the center, and then there is this inevitable return back to the center, like this balance thing that happens. And in that process, you can create people that say those things that become those leaders, thought leaders of the next return to normalcy type of situation. So, yeah, it's for Bhattacharya to be one of the guys that authored the Barrington Declaration, the Great Barrington Declaration, which we talked about. Even at the time, I remember thinking like, hey, this is needed, obviously, with what's happening, but also, pay attention. These folks are coming from within the same ranks, so to speak, which goes to show the whole divide and conquer tactic here. But the article goes on. I don't know if I want to spend too much time on it. It just quotes a bunch of other people who disagreed with Bhattacharya on that particular issue about the lockdowns. And, there's different people that give different levels of pushback on the ideas that were presented in the Barrington Declaration. But I think we should just go straight to a clip. This is a clip of Jay Bhattacharya from a couple years ago. And he was on some British podcast, I guess. I don't know what this is. This is like some talk show. And he's discussing the COVID lockdowns. Remember, this is in 2022. And let me start somewhere in here. I thought it was around here. Hold on. I'm going to find a spot.
Close to zero. In Scandinavia, the all-cause excess death rates are actually quite low now. Close to zero. I mean, they didn't lock down nearly as much as the UK did or the US did. I think that the lockdowns will ultimately play some role in explaining it.
Okay, they're going to go into the question here, and the question being asked is basically, have we learned anything from these lockdowns?
The same mistakes again.
We have not learned our lessons, Francis. I do have some hope that we might. The UK, there's I think a parliamentary inquiry that's happening on COVID, and there's still now some fight over exactly what's going to be part of that. I think any honest evaluation of these policies will conclude that they were a failure. And they were a disastrous failure that has harmed the economic well-being, the physical well-being, and the psychological well-being of vast populations. Any inquiry like the parliamentary that's happening in the UK that doesn't conclude that lockdowns were a disaster I think won't have been an honest evaluation. There's a lot of people who made these decisions that have a strong vested interest in making sure that these inquiries end up saying, "Oh, everything was fine. We did the best we could under circumstances where it's difficult." But that's not actually right. They suppressed voices that opposed it. They engaged in unethical behaviors like stoking fear in the population using behavioral economics techniques to do that.
Okay. I think that's one point that we should highlight is his mention from a couple of years ago of the behavioral economics tactics, or what did he say, methods, whatever it was. Because these are ideas that we've talked about over the years. I mean, while COVID was happening, I don't know if we use the phrase behavioral economics specifically. We may have, but basically the idea is that there are, because of the way media especially can shape your thinking about certain things, there are ways that you can influence, right? And this became very obvious during that period for a lot of people. There's different concepts. There's key concepts of behavioral economics. I'll just rattle them off here. First being bounded rationality, meaning, you're basically, people make decisions that are good enough rather than optimal, which is with a lot of things. So if you know that as a mind-controlling sort of marketeer or whatever you are, then you can use that to your advantage unethically. I think unethical is the key term there too, because these are methods that can be arguably used ethically to, promote a product or something like that. Loss aversion, which is that, the impact of a loss seems like a lot more than, or like the perception of the loss is much more than the loss itself. You got heuristics, which is to make decisions quickly, which, obviously that the pressure of, hey, we got to make this decision now if I want to keep my job, if I want to access certain places or buildings or whatever. Framing effects, we know about that. We talked about that a lot. How things are framed can highly influence how people make decisions. And there's a few others here, social preferences and nudging and things of that nature. But you can tell how the media, the certain politicians, obviously, thought leaders, they all, of a certain type anyway, they all sort of came together and really bullied the public into behaving a certain way at that time. And so for the next NIH director to recognize that, I guess I can hand him half a cookie or something like that. It's good that he's using the phrase that is scientifically specific, if you will, to the methods that were used in that time.
Well, and one of the nasty things about NIH, CDC, Anthony Fauci, Francis Collins at the time was they became more than just healthcare professionals. They became agents of social control.
Yeah.
And, often employing these sort of like psychological social engineering tactics when it's like, dude, you're supposed to just be a health person. Why are you getting into like propaganda? It's wild. Right. It's good to keep in mind that propaganda is a big part of any top leadership role.
Yep.
As was pointed out with Anthony Fauci, his actual credentials, his actual, lack of clinical experience, things like that. He was much more of a propagandist by trade than even a doctor by trade, which is why.
Yeah, he was doing stuff in the 80s for AIDS. He was out there. He was out there doing stuff.
These are the folks who serve best at the top, and I think it's important to keep that in mind when we see who's getting put into place here in the Trump administration. Now, this one's interesting because there's a lot of talk about Robert F. Kennedy Jr. being given this role, which, of course, gave the mainstream media and the left a lot to cry about because, he's an anti-vaxxer. Oh, he killed a bear. Oh, there's a lot of stuff to pester RFK Jr. about.
Sure.
And
they're trying to give him a heart attack or something. So, they're just trying to.
So creating a co-sort of relationship, a co-leadership relationship between RFK Jr. and Jay Bhattacharya. Jay is very interesting because he simultaneously here, of course, recognizes a lot of the nasty things and has been sort of like an anti-COVID lockdown type influencer doctor guy for quite some time. But even within the longer context of this clip, he does talk about like, oh, I can't believe it. The lockdowns that made it so people didn't get vaccines. Measles came back. Isn't that bad? Polio came back.
Yeah, the cancer treatment. Cancer
to,
treatment conversation too. Yeah,
we need to get more people, taking vaccines. So much like we saw with Susie Wiles, who is sort of in essence a lobbyist, being made Trump's chief of staff, and a lot of examples of this where both Trump world, mostly Trump world, will go like, hey, wait a second, they whatever are Zionist, or they are lobbyists, or they are what? Oh no, what is Trump doing? Oh no, and just to take a sort of objective, more politically minded view at it, having sort of a pro-vax, a generally pro-vax person like Jay Bhattacharya in the leadership role with RFK Jr. Smooths out a lot of the rough edges that the mainstream media could use to cause trouble.
It is a little bit of a sly move. If you can, instead of like a blunt, like a bat to the head or something, it's more of like a quiet, I don't know.
They're mediators. It's sneaking in these sort of mediator types to the establishment and anti-establishment wings of things.
Yeah. Let's continue. There's a little bit more that Bhattacharya says here from this clip that I think are important to point out.
They made tremendously bad decisions by closing themselves off from criticism. They employed censorship in social media and a whole bunch of other settings so that people couldn't effectively push back. So I think the ultimate outcome of this needs to be, these discussions needs to involve people who were pushed aside in the debate. And I think the ultimate outcome has to be that lockdown has to be a dirty word. We have to look, whenever we think about the word lockdown, whenever we think about the concept of lockdown, we shudder in fear. We say, we should never do this again.
Okay. I just want to point out that he was calling out these elite of the last sort of COVID era, the people that called for the lockdowns, and that whole group. You could just generalize it as that group that was pro-vaccine, pro-lockdown, all that stuff, whether it's doctors or politicians or whoever, and saying they used fear and other methods, social media, whatever, but they've used fear with using behavioral economic tactics and abusing them ethically or unethically to achieve this. And fear is one of those tactics. And he just said, when we think of the word, or we hear the word lockdown, we should shudder in fear. Mm-hmm. Meaning, of course, this is more of like the repulsed by the idea. We should never even touch it as a society, as a civilized society. We should never even consider something like a lockdown. But I find it ironic that he calls out this use of fear as a tactic and then uses fear as a tactic for his own argument.
Yeah.
So anyway.
Yeah, it's a good point. And somebody might be like, well, what's wrong? We should say no. We should fear lockdowns. If you take it down to some second or third ordered thinking here, if a successful and powerful cognitive trigger of fear against lockdowns is successfully implemented, the question then goes, okay, how is that fear wielded in a way that's against our best interest? For example, go, oh, we don't want lockdowns. We can't do lockdowns. Lockdowns will ruin this society again. We have to avoid lockdowns at all costs. So
and then they go, okay,
so
all right, let the real bioweapons just roll out, kill a bunch of people.
No. So the point I was making was, you definitely don't want lockdowns. Get away from lockdowns. We all agree lockdowns are bad. So therefore, take, for instance, this mRNA vaccine, and we won't have to lock down. That's, that's not a good example of what I think the next thing will be, but whatever the next thing is, having that successful fear trigger for lockdowns could create a situation where, okay, now we're having to choose between lockdowns that we're fearful of and some other device, some other technology, some other method. And it could create a sort of imbalanced preference towards an unknown option versus the lockdowns. Again, not the pro lockdowns, but this is how propaganda works.
Yeah, I mean, if you don't want lockdown, we just have to make sure that people are being safe in public. So it just, provides a logical reason for more public surveillance, more surveillance in general. So, yeah, one more thing from Bhattacharya.
That has to be the outcome of these, but I'm very afraid that that's not going to be. The vested interests that pushed these policies, that benefit from these policies, don't want it to be concluded that way, because then, my God, like, it's a world historic bad thing that happened that they did. Now, I think the outcome should also involve some level of forgiveness. I mean, like, this was so big a thing. It's like, you don't. We have to come together. We can't like put half the, indict half the people in the world that made these decisions, or very, very high. We have to live with them.
Okay, hold on. I had to include this because what you heard there was he's going on and on about the whole thing, right? And how they're so horrible. We have to fear lockdowns and all this stuff. And then his phone, I think it's his phone, starts ringing. He must be on a laptop or something at a desk. You can hear the phone on his desk buzzing. And he goes into how, well, we're not going to really punish everybody who was involved. Like that would be impossible. We have to live with these people. Immediately switches. It's like the call came in.
Yeah, a sort of stuttering. What's the word?
Like a trigger.
There's a shoot. What is the word when you?
I don't know.
Whoa! Do you hear that noise?
No.
There's a very low-flying helicopter.
Uh-oh, they're coming for you.
Geez.
They found Basil.
A stuttering compromise was the word I was looking for.
Okay.
Like, this is bad. These guys were bad. Lockdowns were bad. We have to fear. We can never let this happen again. Bzz, bzz. I mean, but like, we shouldn't put people in jail. Everybody did the best they
live with
could.
these people.
It's the contact information on the phone just said
right, like shut it down, tone it down, guy, tone it down. If you want to be the next NIH director, you got to tone it down. You got to provide all information. So there you go. He's the next pick here. So it is interesting. I mean, I don't know that RFK Jr. is going to be happy about sitting in a room with this dude.
I'm
and
sure
trying to
it'll
figure
be
it out.
fine.
You think it's going to be fine?
I'm sure they'll figure it out.
Oh yeah.
Okay, great. What's next?
Sounds good. Okay. Since we are talking about Trump and science and everything here, I do want to mention this, just as a bridge here. There was an interview that was done with Mark Andreessen of Andreessen Horowitz, is a big VC out in Silicon Valley, and he was on with Joe Rogan, and he discussed Operation Choke Point, which we've talked about before too. And if you're, if you follow Web3 type of news, it was a big story because there were a lot of crypto startups in America that were being shut down and debanked and stuff like that. And it was similar to the marijuana and escort service and gun services about a decade ago. That was Choke Point 1.0. So here's Mark Andreessen talking about that, and just a little insight into the divide and conquer tactics that have been at play but are now being discussed on the other side of the Trump election. Oh, sorry, I didn't have it ready. I didn't have it ready on the right thing. Hold on one second. Here we go.
Operation Choke Point 1.0 was 15 years ago against the pot and the guns. Choke Point 2.0 is primarily against their political enemies and then to their disfavored tech startups. And it's hit the tech world like we've had like 30 founders debanked in the last 4 years.
Really?
Yeah. It's been a big recurring pattern.
30.
This is one of the reasons why we ended up supporting Trump. It's like we can't live in this world. We can't live in a world where somebody starts a company that's a completely legal thing and then they literally get sanctioned, right, and embargoed by the United States government through a completely unaccountable, no due process. None of this is written down. There's no rules. There's no court. There's no decision process. There's no appeal. Who do you appeal to, right? Like, who do you go to get your bank account back?
I bring it up in connection with the NIH and stuff like that because it has to do with funding. It has to do with what types of scientific companies are able to exist. We had that whole story with, was it Mexico that had that geoengineering company that was trying to do some kind of geoengineering project, and then the U.S. government came in and went like, no, we can't have you guys do that. And then a few months later, they were part of the Mexican government or something doing it. I forget the exact story, but it's going to change the funding structure of science. I think that's the greater point. And then just more confirmation of some stuff that people have been discussing with the split in Silicon Valley here.
I'm going to get a lot of, the flack I'm going to get for this is, he's just a crazy, whatever, right winger. But like I was a Democrat. I was like I supported Bill Clinton in 92. I supported Clinton in 96. I supported Gore, who I knew very well, in 2000. I knew John Kerry. I supported him in 04. I supported Obama. I supported Hillary in 16. Like I was like a Democrat in good standing. And then
Democrat in good standing.
Yeah. I mean, this is a wealthy man too. He's a billionaire. So just to keep that in mind.
Are you completely out in the cocktail circuit now? Like, are you allowed to hang out with people?
So there's now, this is actually true. There's now two kinds of dinner parties in Silicon Valley. They fractured cleanly in half. There's the ones where every person there believes every single thing that was in the New York Times that day, which, by the way, is often very different than whatever was in the New York Times 6 months ago. But everybody has fully updated their views for that day, and that's what they talk about at the dinner party. And I'm no longer invited to those. Nor do I want to go to them. And then there's the other kind, which is, David Sachs and like all these guys and all these people and, just this growing universe. It's a microcosm of what's happening more broadly in the culture, which is like, hey, let's actually get together and talk about things and have fun.
Right, but it's so much more comforting when it's you guys and not the My Pillow guy. You know what I mean? It was like, no disrespect, Mike.
Yeah, low blow to Mike or My Pillow guy. But there you go. That's a little bit of insight, Basil. Have you ever been invited to any Silicon Valley cocktails where they discuss the future of humanity? Silence. Silence coming from the man. Yeah, the googly-eyed man says nothing when asked about whether he's been invited to a cocktail, party for the future of humanity, planning the future of humanity.
Has my lag caught up on my back?
I don't know. Are you playing lag right now just to avoid the question? Are you pleading the fifth? What's going on here? I thought you were good.
Yeah, I lagged when you did that, and then you sped up. You sounded like a chipmunk rattling around something, and then you were silent for a long time. So, have I been invited or have I gone? Those are two separate questions.
Let's start with have you gone?
I've never been invited, but I mean, a lot of these Silicon Valley homes, they have multiple entrances, including like big air ducts, like Die Hard, where you can kind of like crawl around and peek down into, different conversations. And, when nobody's looking, you can lower a little string with like a hook on it and pick up some hors d'oeuvres, maybe an oyster or a bit of cheese or something, and sit there. It's really difficult to do with a VR headset on. But, what are you going to do if you're a sort of independent James Bond type character? You can either try to use an invisibility device or perhaps do some interdimensional travel to pop up underneath the table or something, or you can just crawl around like Bruce Willis in the air ducts of these big Silicon Valley mansions. There's lots of options, but no, I've never been invited to one. I think the debanking thing is very interesting. I did not know that was happening.
Oh, yeah.
Another example of like the system wielding this sort of monetary economic power, much like how the U.S. sanctioned Russia, and Russia's economy has never been better. The world on a geopolitical level they're learning that they can push back against the U.S. The U.S. is learning that sanctions, potentially disrupt their control mechanisms. I mean, there's two different ways. They're delivering pallets of cash, millions of dollars in $100 bills, airdropping them out of, Hercules military planes to the Taliban to keep the Taliban dependent on dollar bills, and at the same time trying to keep dollar bills out of Russia. It's just hilarious. And doing that to your technocratic overlords, the wielders of the algorithms that you so desperately want to control, debanking them and their friends is a great way to lose a lot of support, because of course the technocrats are in Silicon Valley. somebody might like technocracy, and the centralized government will wield technocracy as a method of tyranny. But when it really comes down to it, you start messing with the Elon Musks, the Mark Andreessens, the real guys operating those tools. You're not long for this world as some sort of tyrannical, oppressive power. So that's very interesting. I've not listened to that entire interview, but I might do it now.
Yeah, there's some good moments in there, but yep, pretty indicative of where we are culturally and historically, and it speaks to the vibes of internal or elite civil war in this country for the last decade, it seems.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And we're just seeing the fruits of it now, come to fruition with a Trump presidency. Not that it's all good. It's just that, again, you pull, there's an effective balance. You pull to one side, it's going to snap back the other way, so.
Yep.
That's what I think we're seeing, but there's always agendas in that, and it's always important to stay on the narrow path through all of it, because otherwise you just get whipped around. You're far left, you're far right, you're extremist no matter what. So,
big shout out to everybody who is watching on X. It looks like we got some group of people found us there on X. Glad you guys are here. Thanks for being here. Go ahead, hit the like. You can follow Gons at Face Like the Sun. You can follow Canary Cry at Canary Cry Radio, and of course me, Basil _Rosewater. Stay hooked in. Hit that retweet. Hit that little heart there, and that's very helpful for us.
Repost, Basil. Quote,
sorry.
And
it's just
I know it's embedded into culture. It's embedded into our linguistic programming. Yeah.
I have not actually updated my app since it switched over to X, so it's still Twitter on my device.
You are a rare breed, my friend.
It's fun.
Rare breed.
It's totally fun.
We spoke to someone yesterday that was using a flip phone.
Yeah.
And this person is extremely competent technologically. I mean, extreme.
The kids love it these days, man.
The kids. The old kids.
Let's take a second and take some pleasure in the pain of the Denver mayor. What do you say?
Yes, sounds great.
It's Latin for many.
Tick.
Now suck your blood. Now suck
Politics.
Your blood.
We're going to start out with this clip here in a second, Gons. The cast of characters are some of our favorites here. The Denver mayor, who is a total Looney Tune, but also Tom, what's his face? Tom Homan. The new Trump ICE
border czar,
director, deportation czar kind of guy.
Deportation king. He's a king.
He's almost like robotically frank. It's hilarious. That's great. You don't even, you just listen to the guy talk and you know everything you need to know about him. This came out a little bit earlier. This is a clip of the Denver mayor. He's talking about the funds that Denver will be losing if Trump follows through with defunding sanctuary cities. This is his response to that, reassuring the taxpayers that don't worry, we don't need federal funds. We will go ahead and defund a bunch of taxpayer, public services in order to take care of illegal immigrants in our city. Let's just get a taste of this.
Thank you all so much for being here this morning. I'm here to talk a little bit about the devastating impact of the failure of Republican leadership in Congress this week to pass comprehensive immigration change, and the impact that will have on both city budgets and on services that we can provide for newcomers in the city. The second is we will start to have to greenlight a set of hard decisions about budget reductions across the city to meet those costs that we know will continue to arrive. We want to talk about two of those today. While they're the first steps, they unfortunately will not be the last and may not be the hardest. This is a plan for shared sacrifice. And so in terms of our first step on city cuts, we are announcing today we will make some changes both to our services at DMV and to our services on Parks and Rec. Thank you.
These will not be the first, or these are only the first, and they will not be the hardest shared sacrifices. Sorry, this is a little bit of an older clip. This was, I believe, back during the quote-unquote border bill, bipartisan border bill that will have legalized millions of formerly illegal immigrants coming across the border, et cetera, et cetera. Of course, Trump got the credit for shutting that down. And so, just a little bit of taste about what Denverites have been dealing with. Of course, Aurora is sort of a suburb. I don't know the technical municipality names of the different things over there, but Aurora is a city just right off the edge of Denver. I think maybe it's considered a suburb of Denver, a part of Denver metropolitan area. This is where Tren de Aragua, the Venezuelan prison gang, had taken over multiple apartments. We all remember that. Apartment complexes, by the way. We all remember that drama with the media denying it and the citizens crying out. It was just quite the drama to watch. A little update. I am seeing and hearing reports that Tren de Aragua has also started taking over some towns in Tennessee. So if we have any Tennesseans with boots on the ground about that, let me know. Of course, Tennessee isn't pretending once again that it's not happening. But so Denver has had a tough time. I have a couple friends in Denver. They are full blue-blooded Democrats. They are, young, hip liberals. And I was talking to them, and they were even kind of saying, they weren't laying into it. They weren't using any sort of like right-wing language about it, but they were telling me like, ugh, yeah, it's a little rough around here. The newcomers are kind of making things a little sketchy.
The newcomers.
Yeah.
Our new friends. Is that what they call them? New friends.
I'm like, yeah, how do you feel about that? What do you think? They're like, oh, it's just really hard. It's just,
Did they really break down and start crying?
In their spirit,
Okay,
I could tell
all right.
that they were affected by it. They wouldn't go so far to say anything like bad, like they shouldn't be there, but they were admitting
Right.
that it's really caused a dramatic shift in quality of life in the Denver area. So after Tom Homan became Trump's pick for ICE director, he came out. He was talking about how, they're not messing around. They have the popular mandate. They're going to do it. Mass deportation, sending ICE. We don't need the help of state law enforcement, although if they want to help, we're here. But if they don't want to help, we're still coming for you. Referring to the newcomers, the illegal aliens. This is coming from Fox News here to give you a little bit of an update. Headline, Denver mayor says he's prepared to go to jail over opposition to Trump deportation of illegal immigrants. What a hero, Gons.
Hey, martyr making is a full-time business right now.
That's right.
Doesn't matter if it's martyr making to the right or martyr making to the left.
Gotta build that symbol set. We gotta get the mythology going here.
Yeah.
Denver Mayor Mike Johnston says that he is prepared to go to jail over his opposition to President-elect Trump's mass deportation plan, even as he walked back comments predicting a, quote, Tiananmen Square moment. Johnston had been asked this is just classic.
Is Trump going to roll up in a tank? I don't understand. What do you mean? What does he mean, Tiananmen Square moment?
Do you see the parallels between Trump is Hitler, 19 whatever, Auschwitz, it's
40s, 30s, yeah.
Yeah, making the historical comparisons. Now he's coming out and trying to make a comparison to Tiananmen Square. He does so ineffectively, by the way. I am going to give him a little bit of flack for something stupid he said here in a second.
Okay.
Johnston has been asked last week about his opposition to the Trump plan to significantly ramp up deportations of illegal immigrants when he enters office next year. Johnston predicted police deployment and a Tiananmen Square moment if federal immigration officials attempted to do their job. Thank you, Fox. Quote, more than us having DPD, that's Denver Police Department, stationed at the county line to keep them out, meaning ICE, the feds, deploying his police department to keep the feds out. Hello, cool civil war you got going there in Colorado. You would have 50,000 Denverites there, Johnston said in an interview with the Denverite. Quote, it's like the Tiananmen Square moment with the rose and the gun, right? you'd have every one of those Highland moms who came out for the migrants. So in a city where Tren de Aragua is taking over real estate, terrorizing both illegal migrants trying to live in the city, but also legal residents of the city, like full chaos, full apocalyptic, like wasteland style nonsense going on. Not even time. I mean, I know the Springfield was the, they're eating the dogs, they're eating the cats, but hello,
Right.
Denver, who knows? His claim is that, or his former claim was he was going to send the police department to fight off the feds, send
to make sure.
He's literally talking about 50,000 moms who he's going to march out there to meet the feds
To protect the group that's in there, taking over real estate.
to defend Tren de Aragua from getting sent back to Venezuela.
Gee.
But then he references this Tiananmen Square moment with the rose and the gun. Tiananmen Square, we always know this. I have a link that we're going to go to in a second. And, Tiananmen Square, the tanks, the guy got run over by the
standing in
tank.
front of the tank, the famous
classic,
picture, right?
Classic historical image, another propagandistic trigger that has been installed in most people of a certain age. You think of that, and it triggers all sorts of
I'm trying to trigger. I'm trying to trigger everyone right now. I'm looking.
Go ahead.
Yeah.
But he adds in this image of the rose and the gun, and I'm thinking, okay, yeah, I remember this image. The guy putting the flower in the gun of the soldier, right? We all kind of remember, at least in a meme type of sense. Not an internet meme, but like, yes, there you go. There's the tanks, the row of tanks, the Tiananmen Square, very dramatic image. There's also an image that we can all kind of see in our brains of a guy putting a flower in a gun. Well, so I went searching for this Tiananmen Square rose in the gun thing. I cannot find anything that references the idea that the flower in the gun image is from Tiananmen Square. And guess what? It's because it's not. That has nothing to do with Tiananmen Square. It's like these Democrats, they claim to like care about history. They don't want history to repeat itself. This is their whole thing. Whether it be Trump and fascism or Nazism, they can't make up their minds. And Tiananmen Square, the flower, and they can't stop sort of vomiting references to history. And yet they also know absolutely nothing about it. That might not be fair. But they wield history as a creative force, is what it is. They're not actually interested in solid history.
Yeah.
They take these pieces as if history is a palette of paint colors that they could just kind of like
Well, no, it's their
again.
Yeah, you're lagging a little bit. It's their own form. Yeah, you're back. It's their own form of the cork board with the red string. They're taking historical moments and creating their own narrative out of it. It's what it is. I mean, conspiracy theorists, we do the same thing. We take certain facts or certain pieces of history and we, more or less create some kind of narrative.
Try to back
that
them up
makes
with
sense.
sources.
Yeah, well, facts are good. Facts are always good.
It is a common pitfall. It is a common, as conspiracy theorists ourselves, or conspiracy therapists, or conspiracy enthusiasts.
Realists.
We got to admit, a lot of times things get connected that don't have a solid connection. That's fair, and that's part of maturing as a free thinking person, is not making connections that can't be backed up. For instance, the rose in the gun Tiananmen Square. And here's just as a little history lesson.
Yeah.
This is coming from vintage.es. Be the flower in the gun, the story behind the historic photograph, Flower Power in 1967. This is the image here that sparked the memery that has been a through line in at least American sort of anti-war imagery, symbolism in a long time. Taken on October 21st, 1967, during the National Mobilization Committee to End the War in Vietnam's March on the Pentagon. This was not in Tiananmen Square. So it's not a good look.
You know what? Now that I'm kind of realizing this now a little bit, I mean, and maybe this is just I'm hypersensitive liberal thinking in my brain, but maybe this is like a little racist from that guy, because he's
Of course it is.
He's combining Vietnam, which, I was looking up the years because I'm like, maybe it happened in the same time period. No, this flower power picture is 1967. Tiananmen Square is 1989.
Yes.
So, just Asians and protests. Like he just pulled up whatever pieces he could in history and put it together. And
also a total gaffe. I mean, sort of conjuring the image of the flower and the gun is just like so classically like liberal thing to do. It's like a liberal icon.
Yeah, it is an icon.
And
Yep, exactly.
it sparked sort of remakes, like I think it was Kylie Jenner handing a Pepsi to a riot police in a commercial, and it's like, oh my gosh, what are they trying to sell products in classic like neoliberal fashion? The imagery that was once a powerful image of anti-war, power to the people type of sentiment gets commercialized, commoditized.
Of course.
Friggin' Pepsi.
That's the pattern. It happens to the best of us.
Also, a huge gaffe and a really unfortunate comparison he's making, even bringing up Tiananmen Square, considering Tim Waltz's lies about being in Tiananmen Square during this time. It's like this whole, talk about the conspiracy theory corkboard.
Yeah,
like you got this guy, like the lies just are crazy. The whole, again, I try really hard to honestly, sort of intellectually honestly, and with an open heart approach leftist and Democrat in alternative media. And it's just impossible. They're just living in this delusional world where facts don't make any sense. I really want to try to give somebody credit because I'm just trying to be, I just don't want to be disturbed, but also, locked into a left-right paradigm sort of nonsense sort of mind prison. So I'm really trying to help myself in that way, but they do not make it easy. Let's go back to the Fox article real quick. Okay. Quote, let's see here. So we finish up the, it's like the Tiananmen Square moment with the rose and the gun, right? Right? Guys, right? Right? That's right? You'd have every one of those Highland moms who come out to whatever, the migrants, came out for the migrants. And you do not want to mess with them. Don't mess with the moms.
The Highland,
yeah.
Okay.
Don't mess with the moms, guys.
Yeah,
I'll agree. I don't want
I'll agree you don't want to mess with the moms. That's true.
But yes, Tom Homan and his ICE agents don't mess with the moms. But in a subsequent interview on Friday with 9 News, he walked back those comments. Quote, would I have taken it back if I could? Yeah, I probably wouldn't have used that image. Good, yes, Johnston said. That's the image I hope we can avoid. What I was trying to say is this is an outcome I hope we can avoid in this country. I don't know if that's what you said, buddy, but I'm glad you're trying your best to take it back. He wants to avoid the
still doesn't acknowledge the nuance there. He said that image. I'm going to
play you
two
a clip.
Different images of.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Anyway.
Good, no, very good point. Thank you for that. What I was trying to say is this is an outcome I hope we can avoid in this country. I think none of us want that. But he said he was prepared to protest against anything he believes is illegal or immoral or un-American in the city, including the use of military force, and was then asked if he was prepared to go to jail for standing in the way of policies enacted by the administration. Quote, yeah, I'm not afraid of that. And I'm also not seeking that, Johnston said. This was in his response. Quote, I think the goal is we want to be able to negotiate with reasonable people how to solve the problems. He expressed support, blah, blah, blah. So you get it there. And this, of course, Mr. I didn't put the Tom Homan clip in there. Shoot. Okay, I'll take it from the article here. He expressed support for limited deportations for those convicted of serious crimes. This was all his second time around after he got called out for saying what he was saying. And now he's committing that, yes, okay, sure, Tom Homan, come get the violent criminals. Yes. Please take these violent criminals away. We support that. We've always supported that. The incoming administration's plan to ramp up deportations has already brought opposition from Democrat officials. Then it goes into, they actually added some stuff to this article here. Let's jump down to the last paragraph here for Homan's response. says, here's Homan's response. Quote, oh no, they took out Homan's response. What's going on here, Fox?
I was looking for Homan, but I could not find it in here, so I don't know what.
Weird.
Yeah, are you sure? Are you sure you didn't?
Yeah, no, for sure it was in here. That's so strange why they take it out.
That is weird.
Well, I can find. Let me grab a video for that real quick. In the meantime, play this clip, just a couple of minutes, for the Denver mayor's attempt to walk back his claim that he's going to defend his county with the Denver Police Department and send an army of angry moms to fight against the feds here.
Willing to go to jail over this?
I think there are thoughtful ways to solve this problem. If they want to focus on violent criminals, we would be happy to help support pursuing, arresting, and deporting them. We've helped past administrations. We'd do that again. If they want to focus on adding more judicial capacity so folks with asylum claims can have those cases heard more quickly, we would support that. What we're not going to do is support deploying the 101st Airborne into American cities to pull 10-year-old kids out of their classrooms in handcuffs. I think that is immoral, that's unconstitutional, and that's un-American. And so I think if that's what they're proposing, they will find us resisting. If they want to partner on common sense solutions, we'll always be happy to partner.
So if Trump were to order ICE agents, for example, right, Immigration and Customs Enforcement agents, to go into the state of Colorado to enforce federal law, would you order, Mayor Johnston, your police department to resist them? Or are you speaking at this point more of just an act of, protest resistance? Or would this actually be an order to your police department?
Yeah, we won't use our law enforcement, and we don't think we need to. That's not what we're after. I think America's not after another conflict on this issue. They're after a way to find pragmatic solutions to this problem. And so, to quote Lincoln, we don't think here that might makes right. We think that right makes might. And so if they are going to send the U.S. Army or the Navy SEALs into Denver to pursue folks to pull them off the job at hotels or restaurants where they're working, or pull kids off the soccer field, I think we will see Denverites and folks around the country who will nonviolently resist that, because I think that doesn't represent our values and doesn't represent the Constitution.
So
okay, you can
has
go ahead
your
and
view on the...
You can pause it there. I popped that link to the Tom Homan response. I really hope that's it. I didn't want to interrupt the audio, so it's right under the clip you just played there if you want to try to load it up. I mean, this guy is a masterful politician. You got to give him that. Again, the absolutely Looney Tunes display using history as this paintbrush. He's quoting Lincoln. He's talking about how we definitely don't want them coming in and kicking moms and stealing children off of soccer fields and pulling people out of line at the grocery store. We don't want SEAL Team 6, the Navy SEALs, coming into Denver to steal children from their parents. Just like this absolute, honestly, sort of a magician's hands of wielding these absolute Looney Tunes illusions to something that nobody has, it's the straw man is what it is, if you want to make it even more simple. The straw man that Trump wants to send in the Navy SEALs, send in the military, steal kids off the soccer dog. Nobody wants that. Yeah, no, you're right. Nobody wants that, bro.
Yeah.
Nobody said that. Nobody wants that. I believe this is Tom Homan's response here. I believe, this was on...
Looks
Fox,
like Hannity.
Hannity,
Yep.
right.
Mm-hmm. He's talking with Texas. What's his name? I'm looking at his face right now. I'll just play the clip.
Abbott.
There you go.
Tom, you heard this mayor out there in Colorado. I want to get your reaction to it, and I want you to be clear about who has jurisdiction, the federal government or state and local governments. And if you're a sanctuary state or city, are you breaking the law?
You're absolutely breaking law. All you have to do is look at Arizona versus U.S. You'll see these breaking law. But look, me and the Denver mayor, we agree on one thing. He's willing to go to jail. I'm willing to put him in jail. Because there's a statute. It's Title 8 United States Code 1324 III. And what it says is, it's a felony if you knowingly harbor and conceal illegal alien from immigration authorities. It's also felony to impede a federal law enforcement officer. So if we don't want to help, that's fine. He can get the hell out of the way. But we're going to go do the job. President Trump has a mandate for American people. We got to secure this country. We got to save American lives. And I find it shocking that any mayor of a city would say, President Trump's been clear. We want to concentrate on public safety threats and national security threats. I find it hard to believe that any mayor or governor would say they don't want public safety threats removed from their neighborhoods. I mean, I don't know what the hell is going on in Denver, but we're going to go and we're going to fix it. If you don't want to fix it, if you don't want to protect his communities, President Trump and ICE will.
Okay,
Wow,
there you go.
That's as animated of a clip as I've seen him, because he's usually very monotone and quiet. I mean, he's fired up right there.
He's a little bit of the hero that we need right now. A noticeable quality that he has: his frankness and his total lack of desire for like diplomatic answers to things.
No, it's
it is
kind of fun. Yeah,
it's sort of Trumpian, which is very fun. But have you ever, at least in recent history, have you ever seen a government official so effortlessly wield knowledge of the actual law in response to what amount to political mudslinging? This is the Denver mayor, political mudslinging, bringing up symbols and symbology and history that's wrong and mixing and evoking the name of Abraham Lincoln and creating this fake martyrdom for himself. And Tom Homan, in classic Tom Homan fashion, it's just like, yeah, no, it's the law. Here's the law, names it, rattles it off. Like, what? An actual government official who knows the law, who's educated in the law, and is willing to actually frankly state the law and how it's going to be. Like, that is so refreshing. It's so sad that it's so refreshing.
It is sad. I was about to say, it is sad that it is that refreshing, but I hope it does set a precedent, though, at the very least, to be like, hey, if we're going to do something in this country, at least provide the constitutional, and I mean, people do. I get that people do, but not necessarily our leaders. They're not always on camera doing it, right?
No.
So,
well, you know what's so powerful about it too?
Yeah.
Is we're so inundated with the redefinition of words, the left-wing impulse to rename things, to redefine words, to make up language to describe something that doesn't need new language, all for the exercise of brainwashing and all this kind of stuff. To simply have a guy who just says the thing and knows the law without wielding some sort of like magical language shift 1984 doublespeak nonsense is like, this is what's giving people the feeling that like, okay, America might actually have a chance here. The imaginary world of the politicians that we lived in, and not just the left. I mean, the right has been doing this as well in smaller numbers and in less egregious ways over the past couple years. But shout out to Humane Yes One in the chat who says, I blame the Mandela effect. That occurred to me with the Denver mayor and the Tiananmen Square and the flower in the gun thing. It did occur to me like, I wonder if he really thinks that, and I wonder if that's a Mandela effect thing for this guy. I don't know. It's very interesting.
Maybe. That's funny. That is very funny.
Any last words about this before we move on?
I think that's it. We'll keep an eye on, and we'll pray for our Denverians. What do we call them? Denverites?
Denverites, I think.
Coloradians?
Yeah.
Rocky Mountain folk?
Speaking of which, Denverites, go ahead, get in touch with us. If you have any boots on the ground experience with any of this stuff going on in your area, Aurora, whatever, any Coloradans really, go ahead. You can send us an email at canarycryradio@gmail.com, or if you go over to canarycrynewstalk.com, you'll see a green tab on the right hand or the bottom side of the page. Click on that. You can leave us a voicemail. And let us know. Let us know what you see. Let us know what you hear. Let us know what the experience is like there, and also what you think about your mayor and Tom Homan.
Speaking of the speak pipe here,
on the show.
Yeah, we can play it on the show. Like this guy, Kevin K sent this in.
Hey guys, this is Kevin K. I found you guys a few years ago, right around the beginning of COVID, and I really appreciate all that you guys have done. I'm sorry that you guys had a rough weekend, but I'll be praying for y'all, and keep on fighting the good fight. Take care. God bless. Bye.
There you go.
God
God
bless.
bless. Thanks,
Thank you very
Kevin K.
much.
Appreciate
Kevin
it.
K, appreciate it. And you can be just like Kevin. Go leave us a voicemail at canarycrynewstalk.com. Look for that green tab floating around somewhere. Another big shout out to the X viewers. It looks like a little bit of steam catching up on X. Thank you guys for being here. Make sure to hit the like or repost or follow us in our various places. Of course, you see Face Like the Sun, at Face Like the Sun there. That's Gons. Follow him. Canary Cry Radio. Search Canary Cry Radio or Canary Cry Party. Follow our official account there. And then my name's Basil_Rosewater. Check that out. And of course, please help us spread the word as far and wide as you can. That's a good way to support the show. It's a good way to be a producer of the show because we are on the value for value system. It's very simple. We take zero money from commies, cartels, or corporations, and that includes platforms. We don't make any money off of YouTube monetization, X monetization, nothing like that. We exist solely at the discretion of people who are like, hey, wait a second, something is wrong with media. Even sometimes alternative media, taking money from corporations. If we're talking about corporate money being a defiling factor in media across the board, that's why we decided we're just not going to take any corporate money whatsoever. We exist at the discretion and the generosity of people just like you. It's called the value for value model. And you can go to canarycry.support if you want to participate in that. And it's not all about money. You can help the show out with your time, your talent, or your treasure. We got tons of people who help us out with some free time they have, getting stuff done, getting posts going. People with their talent, their artistic, their musicianship. We've got just a whole playlist of a plethora of music that people have made just for this show. It's very incredible. If you want to participate in that, you can go to canarycry.art in your browser there. But of course, your treasure. It's the only way that we're able to do this so consistently and with whatever level of quality that we do it. It's only because of the producers. And it's easy. Whatever value you get. How much value do you get out of the show, out of the community, out of everything? And if you're new to the show, get hooked in with the community, folks. This is serious business. Go to canarycry.party, join the Discord channel, join the Telegram, get hooked in. The community really is some of the biggest value you can get in what we got going on. But yes, treasure, whatever value you get out of us, you choose the number, you pick it. Whatever having truly independent media available to you means you can support the show in that manner. We got a few people who came in for this episode. We're going to cruise through and we're going to thank them very much. These people came in the amount of $7.77, which entitles them to have a note read on the show. We're going to thank them right now. You ready, Gons?
Ready to go, yep.
Starting out, big old shout out to Raul S. Thank you, producer Raul S.
Thank you, Raul S.
Came in for $77.77.
Nice.
77. Very good. Perfect. He has a little note here. It says, Canary Cry News Talk matters. God bless Basil and Gons. Greetings and blessings to all listeners. Lovely. Thank you very much, producer Raul.
Thank you, Raul S. Appreciate that.
Next up, we've got producer Rebecca V coming in.
Rebecca V.
Joins the supply drop at $33.33 a month.
Hey, $33.33, which means you're Illuminatus.
That's
there
right.
Go. Thank you.
And yes, so Rebecca V will be getting her calendar, Canary Cry calendar. We're coming up against the deadline, folks. If you want to get the Canary Cry calendar, it is an excellent artifact created by producers of the show, chock-a-block full of historical dates, secret society dates, conspiracy theory dates, UFO dates important to the show, biblical dates, all these type of things, all packed into one calendar. Nothing else like it exists on the earth. And you can only get it by going to canarycrysupply.com, signing up for the supply drop, and you'll receive your calendar before Christmas. Thank you very much.
Yep.
Rebecca V.
Thank you, Rebecca V.
Next up is producer Julie S. Thank you, Julie S.
Julie S.
Coming in
Julie S.
with a nice round number. And just so everybody knows, if you produce the show financially, if you do not care for us to disclose the amount, just make it a nice round number, some number in a rounded to the 10 or the 5 or something like that. If you don't mind us disclosing the amount, make it something fun. Put 33 cents, 77 cents, 1, 2, 3, 4. Have a little bit fun with the numbers. That's you telling us you don't mind if we disclose it. So thank you very much, producer Julie S.
Thank you, Julie S. Appreciate it.
Next up, we've got a knight of the Canary Cry Roundtable of Knights and Dames, Sir Casey the Shield Knight.
Hey, Sir Casey the Shield Knight, who has his own jingle.
Sir Casey the Shield Knight.
That's right. Sir Casey coming in for $7.77. He's on a 491 episode streak supporting the show.
I don't even have a button for it. It's too big.
That's about... that's way over half the entire show he's producing every single episode.
That's crazy.
He has a note here
Appreciate
says, Jesus is king. Have a blessed Wednesday, my dudes. Yeah, bless ya. Thank you very much, Sir Casey.
Thank
You know
you.
what we didn't
Appreciate
do is play the Wednesday, my dudes jingle. Why don't we do that?
You want that right this second?
I would love it right now, but
It
this
is
is
Wednesday, my dudes. Wednesday. Wednesday, my dudes.
Thank you.
There you go.
Very nice. Thank
There
you.
you
We
go.
forgot to play that. It's Wednesday. It is Wednesday, my dudes. Next up, we've got producer Elio coming in for $8.88. She's on a 44 episode streak.
Thank you, Elio. Is 44 a streak number?
I don't think so, because 42 is.
Oh, you're right,
Thank you, Elio. Next up, we got producer Jeremiah S. coming in for a pocket full of sevens, 777.
Thank you.
Little note, he says, you guys are the bacon in our news BLT. That's
Oh,
very
boy.
sweet. I'm hungry now. Thank you very much, Jeremiah.
Thank you, Jeremiah.
Last but not least, we got producer Kevin K coming in for $15.55.
All right. And I think maybe, was Kevin K the one that left the...
That's the one with the voice message.
That's the one with the voice message. Okay.
Thank you very
All
much.
Connecting dots. Thank you. Appreciate it,
Leaving
Kevin K.
messages and producing with his treasure. He leaves a little note, says, God bless and happy Thanksgiving. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
That wraps up our list of financial producers who came in above the amount of $7.77. As always, thank you to our monthly producers coming in at the Canary Cry SupplyDrop.com. Or if t-shirts are more your thing, for $19.84 a month, you can join the T-Shirt Council. You become one of the most important people in the world. You vote on what the t-shirt for that quarter will be, and then you receive it for free. You go to CanaryCryT-shirtCouncil.com. And we have our streakers under 777 who came in. Thank you very, very much. We are keeping track of your streaks. For the sake of time, we're going to keep going today, but we will be catching up with you when we're back from the holiday.
Yep.
And there you go. Thank you to everybody who makes the shared sacrifice to make sure that truly independent media can stay truly independent, not bend the knee to the occult principles of advertising or the unfortunate prison that is corporate money. It's not a good business model. We are not good businessmen, but at least we can sleep at night knowing that our sort of spiritual convictions are a big part of the way we can keep this going. I mean, they're everything as far as keeping the show going. So appreciate everybody there.
Yep. And if you're already lurking in Web3, you can go to canarycry.support. If you scroll down, we got all our wallets there if you want to support us with Bitcoin or ETH or Litecoin, Dogecoin, the future currency of the world, Dogecoin. So there you go.
It's very funny, Gons, and I am investigating this as we speak. But we just have some enormous amount of X people who are tuning into the show. So much so that we just got a notice from our streaming software that says we're having trouble streaming to X. This may be an issue on X, we'll keep trying. So maybe too many people were finding the show. We either crashed the stream on X or somebody shut it down.
Did we get botted? It's possible that somebody botted the stream.
Possible. I'll take the bots. There's nothing wrong with bots.
You'll take the bots.
I don't know why somebody would bot us. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see if it comes back.
Oh, did it actually end, or is it still going? Are we still up?
Well, I try to play it, and it says we're having trouble. So something bad's happening. Oh, well. Well, we'll see what happens. All right, let's get back to the show.
Okay, there we go. All right. Let's see. What are we talking about?
The
CERN.
thing is saying, let's see, if this continue for a while, try creating a new live stream or just remove this destination from the stream and re-add it. Huh. That's interesting.
Okay.
I don't know if that's something we want to try or not. That
I don't
sounds.
even know exactly how I can. Oh, I guess I can just go
Yeah, you just go up to the thing there.
remove.
Remove it and then re-add it, maybe, I guess. It says to give it a second. Let's give it a second, see if it comes back on its own.
Okay. All right. Well, here we go.
We'll check in after this.
Okay. Let's talk some CERN. Oh, it's gone. Hold on.
It's gone.
Let me put it.
It went away by itself.
Let me add it back on to see if that does anything.
Okay. Sounds
we
good.
might have caught some kind of robots. Okay, here we go. CERN. Part of me was thinking like, hey, people must be on a holiday. They must be.
It's not impossible. It's not impossible for us to, make it into some sort of algo finally.
Yeah.
Let's keep going.
Here. Yeah, okay. So let's talk a little bit of CERN. There's some CERN things happening here. First up, we have Market Realist here. This is Market Realist with just a headline here. This is from a couple months ago, but just to set up the whole CERN discussion. The most valuable thing on Earth still remains a mystery to many. It costs $62 trillion for 1 gram. 1 gram. What is it? It's antimatter. It's antimatter. Antimatter apparently costs $62 trillion per gram. And that's almost double the U.S. debt. So, maybe there's a way to use antimatter. Just a gram. All we got to do is find a gram of antimatter and we can pay off the U.S. debt. Maybe Trump will find it.
We're in the wrong business. $62 trillion for a gram.
Well, CERN, I think CERN is on top of it. They're all over it. So, and then earlier this month, Science Alert published this story. Physicists may have figured out how to safely transport antimatter, which is, that's great. Good, I guess. I don't know. Which leads to today's Nature.com headline. Antimatter to be transported outside a lab for first time in a van.
Whoa.
Down by the river. No. The volatile substance will be driven across the CERN campus in trucks to different facilities, giving scientists greater opportunities to study it. And it's kind of funny because some material stuff that science has discovered, they're able to move it now from the laboratory to another laboratory. It doesn't seem like a big deal, but in the realm of science, Basil, this is a huge deal. This is monumental. It says here, 2 teams of CERN physicists are racing to perform an extraordinary feat, transporting antimatter for the first time. Antimatter, matter's mirror image, is difficult to create and extremely short-lived because on contact with matter, it instantly annihilates. One team wants to move the antimatter so that it can be studied with greater precision, and the other will use it to probe materials in the first experiments of their kind. Which I thought was kind of vague, both directions. There are two places on the CERN campus there. Study it with more precision, okay, and then the other wants to probe materials in the first experiment of their kind. I don't know what that means. Probe materials. Quote, if you can do it, it opens up a huge number of opportunities, says James Dunlop, a physicist at Brookhaven National Laboratory in Upton, New York, whose research includes observing antimatter on nanosecond scales. Every matter particle has an antimatter counterpart, its mirror image, with an opposite charge. Physicists think that antimatter and matter were created in equal amounts during the Big Bang, but why the universe now seems to be made of overwhelmingly ordinary matter is a mystery. Antimatter is thought to be the most expensive substance on Earth. It could cost trillions of dollars to make a gram, which we just saw, 62 trillion. CERN, Europe's particle physics laboratory outside Geneva, Switzerland, is the only place in the world that makes antiparticles slow enough to catch and store, and hopefully transport without annihilating. The 2 projects are PUMA, Antiproton Unstable Matter Annihilation, and Base Step, are aiming to transport antimatter to other labs probably in the second half of next year. So, yeah, I mean, there's more to it than first thought. This is a big deal, Basil. I don't think they produced a gram. I don't think they're moving a gram of antimatter. It's probably much, much less. Nevertheless, I mean, this is a very, very expensive and rare commodity that they are starting to poke and prod. And yeah, I don't know. Can you think of any movies, before we go any further with the actual story itself, any movies, Basil, that has this type of narrative or storyline? Can you think of one off the top of your head?
I feel like all of the Marvel movies is all about like, ooh, the object, the substance, we gotta get it. Oh
Right.
no, the bad guy took it. Oh no, we shouldn't have put it in a van.
We shouldn't have put it. The van part kills me. That's the part that's so much like a Marvel film. This kind of delivery service, quote, would democratize the use or the study of antimatter, says Alexander Obertelli, a physicist at the Technical University of Darmstadt in Germany and architect of the Puma experiment. And then they talk about trapping protons. It says here, to move antimatter, physicists must suspend and cool it in magnetic bottles. It's in quotes, bottles. These
What is a
require
bottle?
super... What?
Most mundane made a funny joke, says the antimatter is just an empty jar.
It's a very expensive magnetic jar, yeah. These require superconducting magnets to hold antiprotons in place so that they hover without touching the sides. And mobile power generator will power... a mobile power generator will power the magnets. Okay, we got some mobile generators that are powering the magnets, Basil, and a cooling system that will keep the antiprotons at a chilly 4 Kelvin. That's negative 269 degrees Celsius.
Great.
Liquid helium will act as a backup coolant. So this is serious business here. You can't be just throwing it around like a football or something. This is serious.
Yeah, well, the next scene in the movie is the van's driving down. It's got all the gadgets in the back, and then a black van, 2 black vans come on either side of the van, and then a guy jumps off the roof onto the white van, and then they open it up. That's when the terrorists strike.
Right. Yeah. No official regulations yet exist about how antimatter should be transported, said Obertelli. Author Dan Brown raised fears about the dangers of the substance in his book Angels and Demons, in which terrorists steal 1/4 of a gram from CERN for use as a bomb.
Perfect.
Obertelli says there's no need to worry, even if all the antiprotons Puma plans to carry were to annihilate at once. The energy released would be equivalent to the impact of a pencil dropped from a table height, he said. There's no bang. There's no bang, okay? Which is kind of funny. So this Angels and Demons thing, I found this page that was archived, angelsandemons.web.cern.ch. Okay. So CERN is making their own web archives specific to angels and demons, and this was a page. Obviously, this page in particular doesn't exist on the proper CERN website. It's in their archives here under Angels and Demons, which I thought was weird in itself. But it says this: Angels and Demons, the science behind the story. In Ron Howard's Angels and Demons, Tom Hanks plays Harvard academic Robert Langdon, who discovers evidence of the resurgence of an ancient secret brotherhood called the Illuminati, the most powerful underground organization in history. When Langdon finds evidence that the Illuminati have stolen antimatter from a secret laboratory at CERN, which they plan to use as a devastating weapon to destroy the Vatican, he and CERN scientist Vittoria Vitra begin a race against time to recover the antimatter and prevent catastrophe.
Right, so Angels and Demons was just some soft disclosure.
Predictive programming, a little revelation of the method. And it happens to be, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, it is where we get this ISO from.
Illuminatus!
I think that's from Angels and Demons. I think
it's from one of the Dan Brown movies.
Right. When he sees the Illuminati and he calls it Illuminatus, which I think is hilarious, right? The Illuminati is stealing antimatter from CERN to blow up the Vatican. But then isn't the scientist lady from CERN, wasn't she supposed to be bloodline of Jesus or something? And there's some pretty esoteric messaging going on with the whole film there and the whole story of the Dan Brown's Angels and Demons.
Yeah,
But,
I'd never watched them.
yeah. Of course you didn't. But you didn't. You don't have to. Real life is just as exciting and entertaining.
I mean, you're not wrong. I certainly don't have to.
But we don't have to worry, Basil, because it's all fake. There's no bang. And in fact, another archive, CERN.ch, they archive a lot of stuff. They had a whole Q&A thing. Angels and Demons. Dan Brown's book, Angels and Demons, is a detective story about a secret society that wants to destroy the Vatican using an antimatter bomb. In the book, the antimatter stolen from CERN.
I wonder why they needed to use the antimatter bomb and just not a regular bomb. Is there some sort of force field around the Vatican, I suppose?
Yeah. Plus, there's probably something about antimatter that this scientist from Nature.com earlier is not telling us, or they want to keep secret or something. So
I love how this is happening. They're transporting the real antimatter in a white van, just waiting for, I don't know.
Getting poked and prodded, yeah.
What's his face?
Research.
Thanos.
Thanos.
No, not
Thanos.
poked and prodded. I'm saying they're literally putting it in a van and driving it around during the time that NATO is like warning European businesses to check their supply chains, because their supply chains are going to be at risk for World War III. And the Satan II missile is getting loaded up
this might be an all-cover story for the antimatter proton laser beam or something that they're starting to put together. Yeah. So this archive, real quick, they do. There's a Q&A here. Readers have asked us even more questions about the technologies used in the story. Here are our answers. We got the link in the show notes if you want to go through everything. And most of it's mundane, kind of denial of stuff or sharing some historical facts about quantum and all this kind of stuff. But here, this is something interesting that was said, and I guess it's scientific, but it just occurred to me in this world where scientific inquiry in the current state, or at least up until recently, has been very materialistic, like material reductionist, where everything is matter. So here, one of the questions: can we hope to use antimatter as a source of energy? Do you feel antimatter could power vehicles in the future, or would it just be used for major power sources? And here's CERN's answer, by the way. This is CERN's answer from years ago. There is no possibility to use antimatter as energy source, in quotes. Unlike solar energy, coal, or oil, antimatter does not occur in nature.
Yeah.
Doesn't occur in nature. We first have to make...
That doesn't mean you can't use it as a fuel. I don't know what that is.
I mean, yeah, but also, for the leading science institution that runs the most expensive machine in the world to come out and say, like, yeah, antimatter, but it's not something that occurs in nature.
Right.
Admitting that, this antimatter thing comes from beyond nature. It's effectively supernatural without using that word. Yeah. We first have to make every single antiparticle, and we have to invest much more energy than we can get back during annihilation. And then go on and on here.
It's interesting. I almost brought this story to the show today, but I didn't. But there was a release of the quantum engine experiment that just happened.
A lot of that's been happening too, yeah.
The quantum engine, the power that was used to make this engine go was the difference between two molecules and their quantum entanglement,
right?
Which was very interesting. So they're saying, you can use quantumly entangled particles as fuel instead of whatever, which is getting pretty close to like a, I don't know, free energy type of thing. It seems all very connected.
Yeah, I have it here. This is Popular Mechanics, and the headline was "Scientists build the first engine powered by entanglement, not coal or oil." So, yeah, I mean, we've known that, and this is part of the Trump effect. Maybe not directly, but there seems to be, and I've ranted about it before with Tesla and, the history of Tesla, the Tesla papers and Dr. Trump from MIT and all this kind of stuff. There seems to be an agenda to release the next level of energy technology type of stuff sometime in the next, I don't know, a few years, probably before 2030 is the goal, which is why they've set that 2030 hardline date for a bunch of stuff, right? So
sounds like a blast.
Sounds like a blast. one quick thing, just because we're talking CERN, interestingengineering.com had this story here. CERN's ELISA, world's first mini proton accelerator to study cave art. So, the mini accelerators, I think we even talked about it. There may be a Canary Cry News Talk episode from way back where we talked about like a personal accelerator that everyone gets to kind of have. And they're like, instead of your phone, everyone's going to have a little CERN mini accelerator to, investigate their natural surroundings and stuff and get the quantum data from the realms around you that you can't see and everything. So all good fun stuff, all coming in the future, and we're ready for it. Basil, aren't you ready for the ELISA CERN gun?
Yeah, well, a piece of technology that is available to you right now that many Canarians have already taken advantage of is the Canary Cry text message alert system. The Quantum, that's what we're going to call it. It's the Canary Cry Quantum text message alert system because, of course, you're going to stop getting notifications from our streaming platforms and our social media. You're going to get unsubscribed without being told. This all happens all the time to us. So you got to get on the text message alert program where you'll just get a text message from me a couple times a week before the show starts. Fun part is you can text us back at that number. We can't carry on a conversation because it's very expensive for us, but I do read all of your message, and sometimes I read them here on the air, and we've got a lot of messages come in during the show. Of course, many of them Thanksgiving messages. 360 says, "Happy Giant Turkey Nephilim Day, boys." Thank you very much.
Nice.
We have 780 says, "Happy Thanksgiving from frozen Edmonton, Alberta, Canada. Listening while I work in the cold." Thank you, Canada. Glad you're here. I'm sorry about your country. 440 says, "Happy Thanksgiving, Canary Cry. God bless you." Oh, this is from Trillium. Isaiah 1:19, "If you are willing and obedient, you shall eat from the good of the land." Thank you very much. 313 simply says, "Buckle up." Okay, buckling up. Let's see here. 573 says, "Hey guys, have a great show. Don't ever wonder if what you're doing is needed, because it is. I look forward to your show every week." Thank you very much, 573.
Yeah,
That's
thank
very
you.
sweet of you. 859 says, "Hey guys, safe travels for the Canaries traveling today." Are you going to be traveling today, Gons?
No. I will be traveling from here to the living room, and I will be. We're actually hosting Thanksgiving, so family is ready to come over. I've been trying to debate whether I should oven the turkey or smoke the turkey.
Tough decisions.
Tough decisions. Yep,
for
yep.
a tough time.
I know.
So if you want to join this text message alert system, all you got to do is text the word Canary. Make sure to text the word Canary, Canary, to the number 877-740-3226. Again, that's Canary to 877-740-3226. And Gons, we did get this message. I think it's encouraging, so I think we should read it. This is coming from... and that's, who's this? 940 says, "Just so y'all know, the only other options I have to hear what's happening in the world from a biblical perspective, as well as unseen realm worldview, is Derek and Sharon Gilbert and Michael and Mary Lou Lake, and they are not getting any younger. You guys fill a definite role that nobody else our age is filling. The Lord is using CCNT for many like myself. Please don't take heed to the world," i.e. Russell Brand and the Christian Post writing about your work of 10 years ago. "The value for value model. Also, I do not see any of the up and coming new Christendom shows. They may be quality conversations these folks are having, but I can't hear them. I'm so disgusted at being advertised to, I just turn it off. Be
Wow.
of good courage, fellas. The value y'all are bringing on this show is immense."
Oh, appreciate
the
that.
value that you just brought to our text message inbox is also immense. Thank you very much, 940. Yeah, I'm feeling more and more convicted that I need to put out a piece of work that fully encapsulates my obsession with like the dark powers and history of advertising, whether it's a book or even maybe just like a documentary, like a full-length sort of documentary, because the ideas are out there, but and more people are waking up to the unforeseen or the unseen realm, the spiritual worldview. And yet we sit here and continue to be enslaved by the occult practice of advertising. It's one of those things. Well, there are many things in life that are very difficult for those who are open and our eyes are open to sort of the spiritual things going on around us. But there are so many things that as humans, we tend to get sort of trapped in despite the negative sort of spiritual story that's happening around us in regards to those things. So,
yeah,
well, one of these days. So there you go. Text.
Yep.
Go ahead. Text the word Canary to 877-740-3226. Send us a message.
Yep. I was just going to say, part of the whole CERN thing, I forgot to drop the scripture at the top, which was supposed to be sort of the, I don't know, the roadmap. But, I'll say it here at the end, especially after that little message, it reminded me. It's from Romans 1:20. Many of you are probably familiar with it. And it says, for since the creation of the world, God's invisible qualities, his eternal power and divine nature, have been clearly seen, being understood from what has been made, so that people are without excuse. There was a part in the Nature.com article that I highlighted that I did not read while we were doing our thing with it. And let me just read it now. It's from Barbara Maria Lataz, a base step member based in CERN. And this is her quote about this whole antimatter thing. Quote, "We are trying to understand why we exist." And, it does break my heart a little bit when these people that are so deep into the science and everything, they're seeking. They're seeking. And, the scriptures say how God has been there the entire time, and what they're revealing without even them knowing it is this idea that, hey, maybe God exists, maybe God exists and maybe there's a purpose for everything and a reason for everything. But I don't know, just a little something to put a cherry on top of that CERN story, especially after our little text message pitch.
Very good.
So
one thing that is also sort of interdimensional energy source is art. We had a piece of art made for the show.
Yes, we did. We had one today come in from Cassius, and Cassius is busy. He's busy. And let me pull that up real quick. This one, I love this one. This one was great. And the note that came with it. The note that came with it said, "Disclaimer, no goldfish were hurt, but you should still support my boys Basil and Gons. Happy Thanksgiving, everyone." Great message from Cassius.
Thank you very much, Cassius. That's right. No goldfish have ever been hurt or will ever be hurt on this show. So that's very important to make sure PETA knows for the sake of our streams. I mean, if PETA has any control over the algorithms, I hope they know that. Cassius has been hard at work making art, deep cuts to some deep cut jokes on the show last episode, telling me about some degeneracy on cryptocurrency streaming websites. He brought up this fella who was holding a gun up to a goldfish in a bag and asked me if it should exist or not exist or whatever. And we've got this callback from Cassius. We've got this fella here. He's got some polka dot green pants. He's got a blue shirt on, some pink shoes. He's wearing sort of a robber mask. He's hiding his identity.
Are you sure those aren't? It's not a VR headset with googly eyes. Are you sure those aren't just a robber mask?
The guy in the picture was wearing this is a robber mask to implicate him in some sort of crime or criminal activity. He's holding up a goldfish in a bag. He's got his firearm at the ready, making threats. And this particular fella these might be empty threats, but you should still support the show either way. Thank you very much, Cassius, for this very effective marketing. That's the thing. We could market the old way. We can market the way the world wants us to, or we could market in the way that the degenerate meme coin traders do. One of these things has got to work eventually.
We could launch a pump fund token every episode. Whatever the theme is of that episode, we just launch it and we threaten people to, pull the plug on the show or something if we don't get to a million market cap.
More debased things for the show before, I'm sure. Thank you very much, Cassius. Excellent
Thank you, Cassius.
work.
Excellent as always.
Good
Keep
job
it up.
keeping the streak going.
Yeah. Go to canarycry.art to submit your art. Help us shape the culture behind the community here at Canary Cry. So thank you very much. There you go.
There we go.
You got one more story. You got anything else before we jump into this last thing?
Nope. Go ahead.
Here we go. It's getting cold.
It's cold, Basil. It's cold. Antarctica, go first. It's a snowstorm. Antarctica. Ice scientists are penguins. Antarctica, they're opening the abyss.
It has occurred to me that I should play this as well.
Geoengineering.
We got jingles for so many things that are pretty much mainstream now. IFLscience.com had a headline, Geoengineering plan to build giant curtain, in quotes, around Antarctica could spark huge trouble. Antarctica is the only continent on Earth to have never seen war. For now.
Goodness gracious.
With the world's polar regions melting at a dizzying rate, scientists have toyed with the idea of constructing giant underwater curtains around ice sheets to protect the wider world from rising sea levels. Beyond the perils of radical geoengineering projects, they just use the word like it's nothing now. It's crazy. Experts in international relations warn that the plan could spark political turmoil like we've never seen before. I don't know. It's been pretty turmoilic. Is that a word? Politically turmoilic.
Yeah,
in the last
totally.
in the last decade. The hypothetical plan, as outlined in the January 2024 article in Nature, I think we covered this one, could entail building a 100-meter, that's a 328-foot tall floating curtain that's tied to the seafloor, stretching for 80 kilometers, that's about 50 miles, around the imperiled ice sheets, such the West Antarctic ice sheet. The researchers admitted they, quote, absolutely don't know if the idea is going to work or not, end quote, but noted that it should be explored as an option to prevent catastrophic sea level rise in the decades ahead. Adding to the debate, a new study argues that the geoengineering mega project has the potential to turn the southernmost continent into the object of international discord.
Just how they want it.
That's how they want. Antarctica is a massive anomaly in international relations. Dozens of countries have signed up to the Antarctic Treaty System of 1959, which prohibits military activity, nuclear testing, and mining in the region. 7 countries, Argentina, Australia, Chile, France, New Zealand, Norway, and the UK, have made territorial claims in Antarctica. It's interesting how they don't mention China or Russia, because haven't they made some pretty pretty bold claims about their territories or their science stations or whatever out there?
I mean,
just weird.
Claims are one thing, but I mean, territory, America, Russia has territory. Like, there's lots of territory.
That's what I'm saying. It's just interesting. But these claims are effectively, quote unquote, frozen by the treaty. Despite some territorial overlaps, namely between the UK, Chile, and Argentina, the arrangement has successfully managed to avoid conflict over the continent, so far at least. The new paper argues that the ice sheet curtain project has the potential to upset this long-standing peace by provoking new disputes over sovereignty, authority, and security. Now, ain't that the truth, Basil? Haven't they provoked disputes of sovereignty, authority, and security all around the world? I mean, this is the elite, the social engineers, the principalities and powers that trickle down into those folks. I mean, they are professional disruptors of sovereignty, authority, and security, are they not?
Yeah, that's right.
So, yeah. While the Antarctic Treaty System suspends territorial claims, it does not resolve them, leaving room for tension when activities like geoengineering might be perceived as favoring or undermining certain nations' interest or claims. Quote, this paper, and by the way, the paper I have linked to as well for anybody who wants to do their deep dive research, academic.oup.com. The article is titled Ice Sheet Conversation and International Discord Governing Potential Glacial Geoengineering in Antarctica. It's a whole thing. I did have one highlight. I don't know if it's worth reading. Basically, they talk about the governance, the prospective governance, Antarctic governance, what that might look like. Back to the IFL Science article. This is the quote. This paper, this article I just mentioned, sheds light on the political and legal quote-unquote shadows hidden behind the exciting surface of science and technology. However, we believe that it is necessary for the members of society to make decisions on the development of these technologies based on a thorough understanding of such negative aspects. Shibata Akiho, study author and international law researcher at Kobe University in Japan, said in a statement. In one of the most shocking scenarios explored by the paper, the researchers ponder whether Antarctic structure could be, quote, sabotaged or targeted for the purposes of political or terrorist blackmail, end quote, as a means to damage low-lying countries. Quote, as far-fetched as these scenarios might be, the mere possibility of these security risks has securitizing implications for the proposed public goods. Accordingly, the infrastructures will need to be monitored and protected, which would have major consequences for policing and the use of force in the Antarctic, bearing in mind that this is a continent that is currently demilitarized and the only one on the planet to have never seen war, the paper reads. Then again, perhaps we're getting ahead of ourselves. The failure to address climate change, the root cause of thawing ice sheets and rising sea levels, can be largely attributed to the inability of the international community and policymakers to enact meaningful global change. Of course, they go on and on about climate change at the end here. But there you go. You know what this sounds? It sounds like they are getting ready to do some kind of geoengineering, or at least move forward with proposed ideas of geoengineering to preserve the ice, because the cycles, whatever, some kind of cyclical thing that's happening that's making the pole shifts and whatnot. That's natural or whatever. That's not it. It's climate change. It's human climate change. We got to prevent it. Creating all kinds of tensions, almost like a little microcosm of the current sort of divide and conquer happening around the world, especially when it comes to topics like climate change that people are very passionate about one way or another. So,
yeah, money. It's all it's all about playing out the narrative there. And if they can't do it one way, they'll do it another way. They'll get mad that you wrapped their part of Antarctica in a plastic bag without their permission to save the Earth, and that's how World War III starts. My goodness.
I mean, the role that Antarctica could play in World War III is greatly underestimated, in my opinion.
We've been saying that all along.
I know.
That's for years. Yeah,
that's been our thing. But it seems like the catalyst. It seems like the big prize that no one's talking about.
Now does seem like a good time to remind everybody and to make the call. I don't know if we've put it in the Red Book before. Maybe we can check and see if that's in there. But I'm sure we've said it before, but we'll say it again. With all this World War III talk and the nukes and Satan II and Russia and Ukraine and whatever, keep an eye on Antarctica. Antarctica is the centralized location that could immediately implicate or involve just instantly a World War III type of situation.
Yeah.
Of course, there's lots of other ways that could happen that people are talking about, but those, who knows, those could just be distractions, while Antarctica really takes its place as its trigger, utopian trigger continent, as we've broke down before.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. Very good. Well, look at us go, Gons. I do need to do some traveling, so I think that's about all we got for today. Thank you, everybody out there taking the time to tune in. Go have a wonderful time with your family. Make sure to bring up Operation Condor at the Thanksgiving table. Make sure to go to Canary Cry supplydrop.com, canarycrysupply.com, to get your calendar delivered next month. It's going to be a great time. Thank you to everybody with your time, your talent, or your treasure making this happen. We got some people who came in with their time, and we could not do it without them. Let's start with the Clippies.
The Clippies.
Clipping all those videos. Thanks.
That's right. Thank you to Courtney S., Kristen, and Jones, especially Jones, who's been
I saw Jones doing some work. Yeah, good stuff.
He's working. He's a man. He's the man. Thank you very much. And of course, thank you to Night of the Hungry Agenda for everything you do as well. Thank you to our timestampers.
Timestamps.
Timestamp. It's hard work. Timestamp.
Who are we thanking?
We are thanking Jade Bouncerson.
There she is
Jade
again.
B.
Jade
There she is
Bouncerson,
again.
Thank you so much. God bless you. Best in
she's
the world.
AI.
My goodness. Anybody want to come help Jade Bouncerson out a little bit, send us an email at canarycryradio@gmail.com. It's very easy, very rewarding work. Other than that, thank you to the Sentinel for the Telegram channel. Thank you to Adam42 for the Discord. Thank you to Jan for the links. Thank you to Joe for the feedback. Thank you to Clank for clanking. And share the show, folks. Share the show right now. Hit the thumbs up. Hit the like. Do it now. Okay.
Oh, by the way,
here this long.
I see that there are 3,100 viewers on the X account there of this live stream. And
Okay.
I don't believe it. I don't believe it. If you're a real
Okay,
human
that's
being,
fine.
you're gonna need to go to the post and hit that heart. Just hit the
I don't
heart.
know
It
if this
takes
is
2
worth
seconds.
bringing up at the end of the show here.
I'm
but
just
there you go.
mentioning,
Hit the
man.
heart.
I'm just mentioning.
Yeah, well, you know, X is weird with their view stuff. I don't
That's
know
true.
exactly how it works, but it's whatever. You threw me off. Share the show. Hit the like, hit the whatever, do the thing, share the show. But, you know, of course, it's not just all about the social media. It's not just, this is podcasting, man. Word of mouth is the best way to help people find the show. And where are you going to be? You're going to be at the kitchen table. Why don't you go ahead, line up your favorite moments of Canary Cry News Talk. Go pull up the clips on our social media. Pull up the Canary Cry Clips channel. We got some old school clips there. Just be ready. Be ready. Canarians, you've got the broadest, most relevant set of knowledge, dates, facts, and links to prove anything to anybody. Now's your chance. But don't, just wait. Wait for the Lord to bring up the exact moment where you can strike with the truth, baby, and then make sure that Uncle Roger knows to go to canarycrynewstalk.com and subscribe. That's what really matters. Other than that, we call it rattling cages. And boy, oh boy, is there going to be some cage rattling this Thanksgiving. All you got to do is walk right up to him, grab him by the cage, and then you shake it.
The end of the world occurred pretty much as we had predicted.
I want to shake things up, stir up some controversy, rattle a few cages. Hey, stop that! Don't ever silence me. I'm the last angry man, a crusader for the little guy. Leave the bird alone. Never. Rattle a few cages. Rattle a few cages.
The human race will have every opportunity to improve. And if they don't? Ask Noah.
That's right. Just ask Noah. Gonz, any last words?
Happy Thanksgiving, everybody. We'll be back next Monday. We'll be back in December. We'll see you then.
Okay, sounds like a blast. There we go. I was having some audio things going
No,
on.
that's me. My computer's bugging out.
Great. All right, well, we should probably end the show then.
Yep.
Go to canarycrysupply.com. Sign up to get your calendar. It's very important, folks. You don't want to miss it. It's the most important thing you could possibly do. Participate in the value. Eat the turkey. Thank you, God, for everything you've given us this year, this horrible, horrible year. But his love endures forever, and that's what really counts these days.
Amen.
All right, folks. Thanks for listening to this episode of Canary Cry News Talk. Make sure to tune in next time. But until then, think outside the cage.
Bye.
Do not come back, you Nazi psychopaths.
We're all gonna die.
This is the way.
We will hunt you down and make you pay. Give me a break. Give me a break.
I love the Great Reset.
Toilets! Toilets! Feed him more. Feed him more.
Remember, reality is an illusion. The universe is a hologram. Buy gold. Buy!
Subscribe, bell button, all. Like, subscribe, bell button, all.
Praise ye the Lord. Praise ye the Lord.
Satanist from one of the Satanist churches here where they sacrifice babies.
Fun fact, I believe it was another fun fact. Fun fact. Another fun fact.
Brings me back to my Screamo days.
Necro-capitalism.
Profiteers of death.
I've ordered more pills than anyone in the world.
When the news of the day gets to feeling like a maze, it's okay, don't be afraid if you don't know what to say. Canary, cry awaits. When your brain's in a haze and a headline days, come on ahead my way, I can help you out the cage. Canary, cry awaits. Canary, cry awaits. Oh, canary. Changing every day, each and every way you turn, there's another thing to learn. Reading in between the lines, thanking Jesus for our lives, and nice to see His glory shining like the sun. Run the race until it's done. Come on, everyone. Cry waves. Oh, canary, cry waves. When your brain's in a haze and a headline days, come on ahead my way, I can help you out the cage. Canary, cry waves.
Value for value. We take no money from corporations, commies, or cartels.
Canary cry, that's support.